What's going on, guys? It's your boy Monster 401 back with another video. It's been a little while since I've come out with anything. I've been in the process of a move. I no longer live in Rhode Island. I moved somewhere down south. I won't disclose that at this point in time. I haven't really had a chance to sit down and do any videos about pro wrestling in a while. I've been having a couple things on my table and stuff, and there's been a lot that's been going on. So instead of going back and retracking all the things that have occurred over the past few months of pro wrestling, I just thought that as of right now, I can start off fresh. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start a new series once a week where I do a top five things that I like and top five things that I don't like, and little bits of news I'm gonna throw in here and there. You guys get a lot of reviews from other people on YouTube. So instead of doing reviews, I'm going to do a lot of my personal preferences. I have a couple other things that I have planned for the channel that I haven't really, put into motion yet, but there are a couple ideas I'm going to throw out there and see if you guys like them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off right now with the top five things that I
Number
dislike.
five is going to be the Finn Balor Bray Wyatt storyline. First off, it was great to see Goldust in the ring again. It's been a while. There was a whole storyline with him supposed to be revealing a new assistant type thing, which never came to fruition. So it's good to see Goldust out there again. This Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor storyline to me is very dull and boring. Their matchup coming up at No Mercy is going to be a man versus man match. All it is basically Finn Balor is not allowed to come out in the demon paint. He won the match at the last pay per view wearing the demon paint. And prior to that, the Raw before that, Bray Wyatt won without when he was without the paint, Finn Balor, that is. To me, it's just a stupid reason for the two of them to go at it and fight again. The storyline's not really going anywhere. You're not progressing with it at all. To me, what would make this storyline even better is if they were to bring Luke Harper and Eric Rowan from SmackDown over to Raw and have them rejoin Bray Wyatt because they're not doing anything with those two guys anyway. Have them come out and attack Finn Balor at the No Mercy pay per view. And yes, I know it's a fanboy thing, but this would give Finn Balor a reason to go out and reach out to the Good Brothers, aka Gallows and Anderson, and really start doing the Balor Club and making it a popular storyline. That would give this angle a little bit more juice compared to these two guys just going back and forth over body paint, which to me seems really has to do with the quote unquote SmackDown main event that occurred. It was actually not the promo, it was the matchup between the Hype Bros versus Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable. Okay, first off, I get it. You're trying to put Shelton Benjamin out there with Gable and try to build this new tag team. And I also understand that now you're putting some dissension between Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley. It works on a couple different levels, but to make that match your main event on a night where you had three title matches, you had AJ Styles versus Ty Dillinger, which should have been a better match than what it was. You had the Usos versus the New Day in a tag title match that was a Sin City street fight, which I will get to later on. And you also had the Naomi versus Natalia match for the women's title, which I will get to later on. But you placed this matchup right before the final segment, which was the McMahon and Kevin Owens. To me, I always look at main events whether it's the last promo of the show or the last match of the show. The main event is usually the last match on the show. And to give those fans something that kind of died them down before that segment with Kevin Owens and Vince McMahon, that placement to me was kind of pointless. You wasted a spot, especially with three title matches that were on the show. To me, it felt like a filler. It should have been something maybe in the middle of the card. It probably would have worked out a little bit better in that particular placement. And another thing I'm going to share with this number four is the Dolph Ziggler, vignettes. I really wanted to get this in there. I like the idea of Dolph Ziggler doing this little storyline if it leads to him fighting Bobby Roode, because Bobby Roode coming over from NXT onto SmackDown now, it's his glorious entrance that a good majority of us do like. But if Dolph Ziggler's not leading to that feud, this whole process of him coming out and doing all these different entrances, doing the Shane O'Mac, which was funny, by the way. I thought it was hilarious because he did it really good. Him coming out as Bailey with the wacky wavy arm flailing tube man, whatever you want to call them. And the Ultimate Warrior one was a little bit of a burn, especially with the whole fact that he is dead and they're trying to do this whole Warrior Award thing at the Hall of Fames. Um, I really hope this is leading to something big. Hopefully, him versus Bobby Roode. Because if it doesn't lead to that, to me, this whole Dolph Ziggler thing is coming up kind of pointless, and it's just going to be another reason why Ziggler needs to leave the WWE and go to a Ring of Honor or go to a New Japan. Where, don't get me wrong, his wrestling ability is amazing. The guy is great in the ring. He's everything that he says he is. But you're really not using his talent. And I understand WWE has a ton of talent on their roster. They just don't know what to do with it. I totally get that. But hopefully this leads to a feud with Bobby Roode, and it shows Dolph Ziggler's wrestling ability with a guy such as Bobby Roode, who is another great wrestler that was in TNA, who left, went to NXT, and was like reborn over there, and totally killed it. Yeah, this Dolph Ziggler thing, to me, it's doing nothing. My number 3 for this week is that there were no cruiserweights on Raw. Yeah, there was no cruiserweights on Raw. I don't know what else to say. They are promoting the cruiserweight division as a co-brand with Raw. I don't understand why they changed the ropes still to make it look different in the ring. It's pointless. It should be like how it was during the Nitro era. I get WWE wants to do things their own way, but and I was literally at a Smackdown show a couple of weeks ago, right before I left Rhode Island. It was the one where they had Jinder Mahal do the big Punjabi celebration August 15th. It was, with him and Nakamura going in the ring, going back and forth. But I can see what it's like for those guys to go out there and reset the ropes and get 205 Live ready. And I can only imagine on Raw for them to set it up 2 times a night and, put in the purple ropes. And the video screen is just a quick click on the computers in the back. But, you're supposed to be showcasing these cruiserweights, and you're not showcasing them at all. For the most part on Raw, you're getting either tag team matches or 6-man matches where you're literally taking a bunch of cruiserweights, throwing them in the ring and letting them have this big spot fest thing and then end it within like 4 or 5 minutes. This week they just said screw the cruiserweights. They didn't put any on unless you're counting Enzo as a cruiserweight, which I will get to later on. But yeah, if you're going to showcase, cruiserweights on your show and you have a 3-hour show, why wasn't there one cruiserweight match on Raw? I'm just saying, just throwing that out there. Number 2 on my list was the placement for the Smackdown Women's Championship match. As I was stating before, with the whole Hype Bros Shelton Benjamin thing being the quote-unquote wrestling main event, if you were going to give these girls the time to shine, especially being one of the main singles titles on SmackDown, I think you should have gave this match more time. They should have had that main event spot, wrestling match spot, over where the Hype Bros and Shelton and Gable were. You could have kept those guys off of TV. You could have waited another week to do that angle, especially with the fact that you were going to end the show with a 10-15 minute promo between Vince and Kevin Owens. That match could have benefited immensely with another 4 or 5 minutes. You could have kept the tease of Carmella and Ellsworth being outside the ring to want to cash in that title. You could have given Naomi and Natalya a little bit more time in the ring to showcase their abilities. They had, and I know I'm going to get crap for saying this, but they actually had one of the better matches on SummerSlam, which was another 4-hour event, and those 2 girls teared it up. And it could have been something really good, especially in Las Vegas. You could have injured or hurt Natty a little bit more and made the cash-in tease look better instead of just having Carmella and Ellsworth on commentary saying nothing of importance like usual. And the fact that out of the 3 title matches, you put that title match on last compared to the other 2, they should have had more time instead of it being a quick little thing. And I can understand commercial breaks in matches and stuff, and I don't even think this one even took a commercial break. But, you could have gave those girls that chance to shine. And plus, like I said, the teasing of that cash in, whether she does it or not anytime soon. Personally, I enjoy when the person with the money in the bank holds it for a long period of time. You forget about it, and the next thing you know, bam, they come in and cash in, kind of like Edge when he originally did it, or with Seth Rollins saving it all the way till Mania, which a lot of people expected but enjoyed when he did it. This match could have built a little bit more with having those girls have more time. And, keeping the thought of Ellsworth and Carmella cashing in anytime builds it up. And it makes both the title, makes the girls, and it also makes the cash in seem a little bit more important to me. And I don't know. I just think WWE missed the ball on that one. I'm not going to be one of those people that bashes Road Dogg for a smart mark fans. But I think that WWE did slip up with this one, especially being in Las Vegas when you can cash in, you can gamble, you can make that cash in mean something, or even the tease of it means something. I think they totally missed the boat on this one, especially just to throw in that extra tag team match. Wasn't a fan of that this week. And now, my number one thing I disliked about this week. It was the promo from Raw slash match on Raw between The Miz and Enzo Amore. Okay, this is where being a smart mark fan and being a casual fan butt heads. This is where, you got a guy like The Miz who's worked his ass off, and we all understand Miz's story, especially as fans who have been fans for a long period of time. He was a guy that nobody expected to be in the business, a guy that nobody thought was going to make it in WWE. And all of these years later, the guy's main event at WrestleMania. He's been the world champion. He is about to tie slash break the record for the longest combined days as the Intercontinental Champion. He's been multi-time tag team champion. He's on the cusp of breaking the record for the most times holding the IC title. The guy's done it all in the company. And in my opinion, and I know some people may or may not agree with it, Miz is going to be a Hall of Famer. The guy is great. He's one of the best heels on Raw, let alone the entire company. The stuff he was doing on SmackDown prior to the shakeup was great. He is indeed must-see television. And, first off, congratulations to Miz and Maurice on them, bringing a child into this world and Maurice being pregnant. Way to go, Miz. You're the man for that. The Miz Taraj thing is working. And during the promo where, they're announcing to the world that they're having a baby, Miz is going to, read his little speech that he has for his unborn child. Enzo Amore comes out, who was originally supposed to be a guest on Miz TV. Totally get that. Enzo comes out and, they're going back and forth. He's doing his little shtick, how you doing, and all that other fun stuff. He interrupts the big moment between the two of them. Then Miz starts shooting on Enzo, and this is where, as a fan, as a smart fan, this is where it conflicts for me because they say they do things for the casual fan in WWE. Now, most casual fans would not know the story about Enzo Amore being kicked off a bus by Roman Reigns because of the way he's been acting and his attitude, or with the whole breakup between him and Cass that, Enzo's starting to become a legit outcast. Like the whole thing about, he has nobody to protect him is kind of becoming a real thing, especially backstage. Now, I get they're trying to use the Cass thing as like a catalyst, but when Miz is legitimately saying, "Hey, you're getting kicked off buses and you're spending thousands of dollars going to the Mayweather fight and hanging out with C or third string rappers and stuff," a lot of casual fans don't know about that. And as a smart mark fan, I get it, I enjoy it, I like it, but in the way WWE presents it, they're making Enzo look worse and worse. I get the whole burial thing. It's going to contradict something that I say later on in the things that I like. But with Enzo, you're legitimately burying the guy right there in the ring. And a lot of fans, if you don't notice, aren't really getting behind him as they used to. Fans love to say, "How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?" It's a fun thing. They like his intro. "My name is Enzo Amore." They get all behind that and stuff. But you're literally burying the dude right there. And throwing him on 205 Live right now and putting him in the ring with guys like Cedric and Ron Matalik and Drew Gulak, Tony Nese, and then you giving him a title shot against Neville, you're going to straight bury the dude. If Enzo wins that Cruiserweight title match at No Mercy, I could see a lot of people getting pissed off about that. But the match as well was horrible. They blew a spot where they were going for a clothesline duck under and they were trying to throw Enzo out the ring. He got out the ring, hopped on the mic, and said it was Miz's fault. But anybody who actually knows wrestling, like actual in-ring wrestling, knew that Enzo did blow the spot. Enzo is going to get exposed very badly pretty soon. I feel for the guy. I actually liked him, especially when he was down in NXT back in the days when he was in the wheelchair and just being a smart mouth guy. Him going to 205 Live, I get it. They're drawing ratings for the show because fans of Enzo are going to tune over to watch 205 Live. Gives it a little spark of something new. But at the same time, man, this whole work shoot promo thing didn't come off good. The match wasn't good. The whole beatdown thing was probably the best thing about the match at the very end when he made that statement about who's your daddy, when he's in the ring and grab the mic, which I think is stupid too. There's no reason for you guys to be on a mic in the middle of a match. That kind of kills the whole believability of it being a wrestling contest. I get why it led up to, the Miz Taraj beating the crap out of him. But to me, it really did nothing for me. It was one thing that just like came off very bad. Don't get me wrong, Miz like teared him a new asshole, which I liked. But overall, that whole segment was just okay. Now that we got all the negative stuff out of the way, we're gonna go to some of the positive things from this week. This week had some really good moments and some great moments and some jaw-dropping moments. We're gonna start off with number 5. Number 5 for me this week was the New Day versus the Usos in the Sin City Street Fight. That match was good. It was very good. The spots that Coffee was taking in this match, man, that little trust fall thing where he jumps backwards and the Usos caught him and chucked him. The table spots that the Usos took, man. Big E is a monster. And that midnight hour finisher that the New Day hit on the Usos to win the tag team titles for the 4th time, where Coffee literally went from almost one side of the ring and damn near cleared the entire ring and caught him with the DDT portion of the maneuver, was great. I loved it. It was pure action. They actually had more violence and weapons used in that match than almost all of Extreme Rules. You know what I mean? It was a great matchup between those two guys. I get the flip-flopping of the titles now, especially with, the news that Vince wants to make the New Day, the greatest tag team of all time. Or not even just the greatest tag team of all time, but the most decorated, and passing the Dudley Boys with trying to get them 10 title reigns. I understand that careers aren't very long in pro wrestling. They already hold the longest title reign, and I can see this title flipping a lot over the next year or two for them. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of 2018. They're already 7-time champions. They're at 4 right now. These two teams have been damn near perfect for each other since day one. Excuse the pun, but the SummerSlam kickoff show was great. The tag match that they had on SmackDown in Providence when I was there a couple of weeks ago was really good. These two teams gel well with each other. And I can see those titles flipping back and forth and being a tag team rivalry, even though they do need to move a couple other teams into the SmackDown title picture. I can see these two teams going at it for a good long while, man. And yeah, kudos to the Sin City Street Fight. Usos winning, great action, good violence. Usos, man, you guys are the best tag team in WWE right now, in my opinion. You guys are killing it, and I'm just loving it, man. That match. Number 4 on my list for this week is the Mae Young Classic Finals. They aired it on the WWE Network right after SmackDown was over, usually around the time where 205 Live would start. I really liked it, man. They presented it very well. They had all the old Hall of Famers there. Some of the big names in women's wrestling. Alundra Blaze was there. Beth Phoenix was there. You had some of the girls that were in the tournament, like Mercedes Martinez, who was my original pick to win the whole thing. You had Toni Storm, who I think is amazing. You had Piper there. You had, let's see, who else was there? You had Lita and JR hosting the thing. Renee Young did a great job, as the, like the play-by-play person on the outside doing all the interviews. The red carpet event was really good. And yeah, overall, the match itself was very good too. I was expecting it to be a little bit longer, kind of like how the Cruiserweight match had like a 30-minute time limit at the end of theirs. In the European Championship with Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, I was expecting it to be a little bit longer, but for what they were able to do in the match and the time frame they had in it, Shayna Baszler looked amazing, and I agree. Even though I like Shayna Baszler, I think she's going to be a megastar in WWE. They're going to turn her into something special, especially with this whole 4 horsewomen thing and Ronda Rousey being trained to become a pro wrestler right now with Brian Kendrick and Roderick Strong's wife and the other lady, Duke. I can't remember her first name, but her last name's Duke. Those girls are going to be coming to WWE eventually, and I think Shayna is going to be a huge part of that, and she's going to be one of the main girls out of that little group. They said that they kind of scrapped the whole Vince McMahon idea of horsewomen versus horsewomen for for Survivor Series. It's going to take a while for those girls to be trained. They're the being in front of the big crowd thing isn't huge for them because being in the UFC and fighting around the world, those girls will handle that really good. But just to make sure that they're safe in the ring, and the transition is going to be a little bit difficult. But back to the Mae Young Classic. Kyrie Singh winning. First off, that elbow drop is amazing. Her coming off that top rope and the way she extends her body and rotates and drops that elbow, man, it is beautiful. I'm not marking out for it like most people are, but damn, that thing looks good. Shayna Baszler looked really strong in that match, even though she lost. But Kyrie, man, they're gonna make her into a star. To the point where I heard yesterday that she might actually be competing for the NXT Women's Championship at the next Takeover event, which would be great because they're gonna need a contender to come out of that. And especially with the girls in NXT, I could probably see her going against Amber Moon, since Amber Moon was the last person to challenge Asuka for her women's title. And it would kind of be the same story, but I wouldn't give Kyrie the title right away. I probably would give it to Amber Moon, especially because she's had more longevity in NXT. But the Mae Young Classic to me was a success. I'm gonna do a video on that with my reviews and my opinions on who should be picked up and some of the best matches that you guys should go back and watch. But yeah, definitely the Mae Young Classic this week was a good success, and I could see more tournaments coming out. And I've also heard rumors of them doing a tag team tournament, which would be awesome as well, because one thing WWE really needs right now is tag teams. And these tournaments, whether it was the Cruiserweight, the UK, and the Mae Young Classic, are showing to be a huge success, especially for the network. And it gives these people a reason to watch the network and buy the network. Great job by all the women involved. Kyrie, congratulations. You did an amazing job. And I could totally see her becoming a star in the WWE. On my list of things this week that have been amazing is the John Cena versus Roman Reigns promo. And I'm going to slash it here and also add the Jason Jordan build. Now, to get the Jason Jordan thing out of the way, for 2 weeks straight, Jason Jordan has been in the ring with both men. Now, last week, Roman Reigns was telling Cena, hey, it took you 20 minutes to beat a rookie. And this week, it took almost 20 minutes for Roman Reigns to be a quote unquote rookie. Jason Jordan has been in the WWE development system for a very long time. He was doing great down in NXT. Him and Gable getting called up as being part of American Alpha. And now the split, yes, the Kurt Angle storyline is stupid, even though he got my black son. I think it's funny to me. But the fact that they're not even calling him Jason Angle is a great thing. Him being in the ring with both of these guys and putting on damn good matches with both of them, and him getting handshakes after both matches is really propelling Jason Jordan up. Some people are looking at it, oh, he's getting buried. He's fighting Cena, he's fighting Roman, he's not winning. Sometimes it's not the win, especially in WWE. Wins and losses sometimes really don't matter. With Jason Jordan, him being in the ring with those two guys and showing that he can hang in the ring with those two guys, especially being a quote unquote rookie on Raw, it's showing that this guy has a lot of potential. I can see the Intercontinental title run coming soon, him versus The Miz, especially because Miz throwing a couple of those shots saying with his kid that I will be there from day one, unlike Kurt Angle, with the my black son gimmick. But Jason Jordan, man, he's starting to look really, really good. And I've always was a fan of the guy. Um, he was always to me as the hot tag guy in a tag match. There's always a guy who's on the apron for most of the match. When he gets the hot tag, he comes in with that power offense, power offense, power offense. His ability to slow down in a match, his ability to, use holds really good, his reversals, that Northern Light suplex into the roll through, into another suplex, man. This guy's got some pure skill that's going to get him very far in the WWE. So with the Jason Jordan aspect of this number three, look at it as Jordan's getting the rub right now, especially from those two guys. But the Cena Roman thing, all right. There's been a lot of back and forth about who is winning these little verbal debates. Now, to me, John Cena is winning these verbal debates. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not a fan of Cena or Roman. I think they're both great wrestlers. I think they're both great in the ring. By me saying I'm not a fan, is both of their characters become stale. And, the Roman thing, I'm not booing Roman because it's fun to boo Roman. I'm just not a fan of the guy. He's the same old thing. He's a badass that doesn't talk good. He says, believe that, and he cocks his hand 24/7 doing this. First off, when you throw a Superman punch, you don't got to do this every time. You're foreshadowing it every chance you get. And this isn't to bury Roman Reigns, but when it comes to the promo skills, Cena's winning every time. This brings me back to when Cena was going against his cousin, The Rock. Um, Cena is easy to come on the microphone and just spit whatever comes to the top of his head. Everything Cena says feels natural to the guy. Whatever Roman says, so and don't get me wrong, he got some good singers, like that line about Cena getting into Hollywood and says, "Don't worry, I know a guy." That was funny. The only problem is with Roman, when you're on the microphone and you're talking, especially to the audience at home, let alone the guy in front of you, you can't sound like you're reading a script. You literally at times look like, I forgot what I said. What am I supposed to say here? Holy shit. It comes off looking kind of bad. And that's why I say Cena wins. Because Roman got some great comebacks and some great one liners, but Cena is very natural with his flow. And when Cena said to him, every time I come out here, I'm putting you through a test, and every week you fail, you fail, you fail, that's what Cena means. It's like, if you're going to be the guy of the company, you got to be able to go out in the ring and cut a promo. You got to be able to control the crowd, not just have them boo you as in go away heat, but boo you because you're actually good on the microphone. Look at The Miz. Look at the way how natural that guy is. Look at Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is great on the mic. AJ is so-so on the mic, but he gets it from time to time. Seth Rollins, he's a little choppy at times on the microphone, but he gets it. Roman just looks too stoic. And I'll even go back right before SummerSlam with the whole angle where you had Joe and Joe and Roman in the ring, and Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar. Roman looked out of place. That guy has held more world titles than Braun and Samoa Joe in the WWE, and he looked like the idiot. Roman wasn't coming off looking too good. That's where I say with that program, it's going to be a decent match. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to be a classic. Because both of those guys aren't ring leaders, aren't guys that when they get in the ring, they're able to, dictate a good match or what works, what doesn't work. They're both power guys. And that line about that Roman said, I've had more great matches than you had in the past 2 years. No, Roman, you haven't. You've had some damn good matches when you're in the ring with guys who are ring leaders. The matches with Strowman, don't get me wrong, were really good because you guys are two powerhouses and you can beat the living crap out of each other. But Cena, in all honesty, has been able to adapt, man. Cena's been in the ring with guys like Styles and Rollins and has been able to put on really good matches, and Owens and even Nakamura, and that whole golden shovel burying people. Cena said it best. I believe he said it in WWE, but I also read it in an interview. You can go against a guy like Cena and you can have a match with him. And sometimes, whether you win or lose in the match, like I said before, sometimes it doesn't matter who wins and loses. It's what you do after that. Like AJ Styles went from fighting Cena, he did get a couple wins, which isn't really burying in my opinion, especially a clean win too. And he's went on and done really good for himself. Same thing with Kevin Owens when he debuted. He beat Cena, so it wasn't getting buried. He ended up losing to Cena later on, but the guy stayed consistent and was on a right path. Some guys just fight Cena and go nowhere. Look at Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, one of his biggest matches while he was in the Shield was a one-on-one match against John Cena on Smackdown, and he looked great. He lost, but look at the guy. He hasn't been buried since. The only guy we can really say has truly been buried by John Cena in the past couple of years and hasn't had any success is, to me, Bray Wyatt. But the way they're making Bray Wyatt look, he's a guy that doesn't care about championships and just cares about body counts, thanks to somebody on SmackDown or on Raw, Booker T. This feud's going to be fun. I really like it. I think these two guys should keep on, quote unquote, shooting at each other, throwing those little jabs out there. And Roman needs to have a very good promo for me to think that he actually won a round against John Cena. Like I said, I can't wait for the match. It should be a quote unquote WrestleMania match. But then again, why are we complaining that we have to wait for this match until April? The top two right now. Number 2 on my list this week has to do with the Universal Championship. You got Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman. First and foremost, Paul Heyman, you are the best guy on the microphone. For all the Roman Reigns fans who say I'm hating on him, look at how Paul Heyman delivers on the microphone. Second of all, Braun Strowman has been built like a monster for a long time now. The last crappy thing that I remember Braun being involved with was him and Kalisto, which to me was, a throwaway, and most people aren't even going to remember that he lost a dumpster match to Kalisto. But no, Braun Strowman has been built like a monster. The feud with him and Roman, great matches with each other. Like I said, they're two guys who are really strong and powerful and violent. Braun has come off looking like a megastar. The SummerSlam match with him and Brock chucking tables around, throwing Brock through one, throwing him through another, flipping another one. The way he manhandles people, man, that guy is super, super strong. Last week, as much as people want to crap on him and Big Show in a steel cage, for two super heavyweights, that match was amazing. The Big Show off the top rope with the elbow was great, and the way Braun just picks up a 7-footer, throws him on his freaking shoulder, and runs him through the steel cage and just chucked him out of the ring is awesome. It sucks that Mark Henry's retired because I would love to see him chuck around the world's strongest man. But no, man, they built Braun up as if he is going to be a star in this company. I don't know about him winning the Universal title at No Mercy, especially the way he's been beating the crap out of Brock. I would love it either way, win or lose. But Braun has come off looking legit like a monster. He looks legit credible. He looks like a guy who could beat Brock Lesnar. And when I say beat Brock Lesnar, I'm not just talking about in the wrestling ring and, pinning him 1, 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. There's a thing about believability, especially with pro wrestling. They want us to buy in to the character. Now, going back a little bit, a couple of years where Brock beat The Undertaker to break the streak. This is where some people have a problem with, why was it Brock Lesnar? Was it politics? Was it blah, blah, blah? For some of us in the quote unquote smart market land or whatever, we all knew that Taker actually wanted that streak ended a while ago. And, especially after going through that series with Shawn and the series with Triple H and the year before that, CM Punk, I called it with a bunch of my friends saying Brock's going to be the guy to beat him. And everyone's saying, no, bro, Taker's never going to lose the streak. The streak should never lose. I always said the person who beats the Undertaker's streak has to be somebody credible. And in the real world and believability, you have a guy who is a 2-time NCAA champion, a former UFC heavyweight champion, former WWE champion, a guy who's been on that path of destruction. It only made sense that he would be the guy to beat The Undertaker. Let me just throw that out there now. And it was great in the beginning of the promo with Paul Heyman where he was telling everybody, when my beast goes into an octagon, the referee looks at him and says, "Are you ready?" That made sense to me because it gave that legit fight feel. And nobody, technically, aside from the first couple matches when Brock came back, they can use the excuse of the whole diverticulitis and his losses in the UFC, of him losing to Cena and Triple H. Since then, Brock has been on a legit tear, man. It's like you haven't seen him lose a straight one-on-one match to anybody just yet. And you look at the roster, especially, Brock being quote unquote part-time, it's hard to build up a person to make them look like they're going to be the guy who beat the guy who destroyed the Undertaker streak. Sorry, Roman, more shots at Roman. I apologize. Excuse me. But when you have a guy who's established like Brock like that, you have to build something to battle that. The NCAA thing, the UFC thing, the former WWE champion. It's really hard to have a guy who's believable, a guy like Braun Strowman. They needed to build the guy the way they did. They needed to have him go through and destroy everybody. What he did to John Cena on Raw was perfect. Now, I know some people are going to be like, oh, but he never beat Cena. He got disqualified. Yes, because it makes both guys look safe. It never gave Cena a loss. It never officially gave Braun a loss. He was also able to beat the living hell out of John Cena. And it also adds more fuel to my number 3 point with Cena and Roman, that Roman can sit there and talk more crap to John Cena and give him a point saying, well, at least I can beat Braun's ass and you can't. It builds up both storylines. And it gives Braun that credibility look that Paul Heyman was talking about in the very beginning, saying, when my guy first came in, he destroyed Hulk Hogan. He destroyed The Rock. He destroyed Rob Van Dam, which was a great shout out, by the way, to put him in that company. Rob Van Dam is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, by the way. To throw out guys like, who else? The Undertaker. The cage match, the Hell in a Cell match was another great one out there. And the fact that he did beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, it gives that little bit of a build. Even though it's being done in a short amount of time, you're making Brock look amazing. And then you have this guy in Braun Strowman who can come out there and has just dominated Brock every time that they're in the ring, except for the Royal Rumble a couple years ago, which WWE doesn't want you to remember about when Brock beat the living crap out of him. But overall, this build has been great. A lot of people do have issues with Brock being the part-time guy. I'm not too mad about that. I actually kind of enjoy him being the part-time guy. But he has been on Raw a lot over this past year, which is great for him and great for the fans too. We actually get to see the guy. But for my number 2 this week was definitely Braun looking strong against Brock. This feud is going to be great. I actually cannot wait to watch No Mercy because this is one of the matches that I definitely want, that I really enjoy. And this right here is the makings of a superstar. It was the promo at the end of Smackdown with Kevin Owens and Vince McMahon. This to me is the beginning of something huge. For fans of Kevin Owens from his Ring of Honor days or his PWG days or his IWS days, Kevin Owens has always been great on the mic, always been great in the ring. The fact that he even made it to WWE is a huge step for a lot of quote unquote indie fans. Kevin Owens doesn't have the look. He's not the biggest guy. He's got a gut. He doesn't work out a lot. The guy likes going to the zoo and visiting pandas. Don't ask me how I know that. But this storyline with him and Vince McMahon is going to be big. Now, you got to think of it like this. When it comes to Vince, he is the top of the top when it comes to WWE. Aside from titles, aside from streaks, aside from any of that, very few people have laid their hands on Vince McMahon. There's very few people. You got to think Undertaker. You got to think The Rock. You got to think Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you count William Regal kissing his ass, being part of the Kiss My Ass Club. There's a very, very few group of people who actually put their hands on Vince. Now, I get that this was supposed to build up the match between Kevin Owens and Shane at Hell in a Cell, which is going to be great, by the way. I think I have faith in both guys because Shane loves to jump off of things, and this match is going to show a violent side of Kevin Owens. For those of you who've never seen some of the violent fights of Kevin Owens from the Ring of Honor days or the Indie days, or his fight without honor with El Generico, aka Sami Zayn, the street fights that he had with the Briscoes. I was actually at one at Honor Nation in Roxbury. Kevin Owens has a very violent side to him when he was Kevin Steen. It's very rare that you get to see that side of it. And I think right now with WWE and with Vince's stamp of approval, you may see that side of Kevin Owens. He's been playing a lot of the goofy, fun-loving character. And you notice when they actually got in the ring and had that promo back and forth with each other, Kevin was very reserved because he said he respected authority. And, Vince gave him that ammunition saying, I didn't suspend Shane because he put his hands on you. I suspended him because he didn't finish the job. And people who know the evolution of Kevin Steen / Kevin Owens' character is he tries to play the innocent guy. But as soon as you get him on that side, he becomes ultra violent. And I know WWE's not going to let him push those boundaries and do a lot of the things that he did on the independent scene. But a Hell in a Cell match, which to me too, I kind of have a little beef with that match too, because obviously they cut back on a lot of blood, which we'll get to in a second with Vince and KO. But a match like that has to look brutal. And Kevin Owens has that body type, and he has the ability to throw himself around. And we all know how the McMahons are when it comes to, being in matches. They're going to sacrifice their body too because it's bettering their product. And we all know how Shane is. Shane's freaking nuts. You know, Shane's like, I see that, I want to jump off of that. Or this glass plane, I want to go through that. I don't care if I bang my head twice going through it. Send me through it. You know, these two guys are going to put on a very good match. It's going to be a very brutal match. And I think that's something WWE actually needs with the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, because lately they've been boring. Um, but to get back to this promo between Vince and KO, and the whole thing about nobody really having the opportunity to touch Vince. First off, the headbutt. The headbutt was nasty. If people want to say that he bladed it, to me, it looked hard way. It kind of looked like he did, you know, dab a little bit on the dome. Sorry to give away some secrets. But that headbutt looked vicious, man. Vince looked like he was rocked. And, you know, the kick to the ribs. Kevin Owens is indeed a great wrestler. And, you know, Vince really needs to trust you to allow you to put your hands on a 72-year-old man who's a multi-billionaire who runs the company you work for. This to me was a great rub for Kevin Owens by the WWE and Vince McMahon. There's a lot of guys, especially the guys that Triple H gets down in NXT, who get called up. Kevin Owens has been done right since the jump, man. There's nothing like they've done wrong by him. And to give him this spot working with Vince and Shane, I think is going to be the beginning of something huge. You know, people say wrestling's been stale a lot lately. A lot of the shows have been kind of boring, but I think this angle for Kevin Owens is the start of something humongous, whether it's him running the company or SmackDown or whatever, or just to have a violent match with Shane McMahon. Kudos to WWE for giving a guy like Kevin Owens the ball, because if you've seen, like I said, if you go back and seen any of his Ring of Honor work, he is a monster on the microphone. He is great talking in the ring. You know, he makes people crack up during matches while he's sitting there talking, you know, crap to the fans. I'm going to try to keep the language down. I know it's YouTube now. But Kevin Owens, man, he gets a real opportunity to get some shine. And people always say we need to build new stars, build new stars, build new stars. And SmackDown is a place where stars are made. And the fact that Vince is even on SmackDown is a huge deal, let alone working with a guy like Kevin Owens. And kudos to Vince for taking that frog splash or the bullfrog splash, whatever the hell you want to call it. To have a 270-pound guy fly through the air and hit you with a frog splash like that while your head's cracked open after getting a legit headbutt to the dome. And, you know, I don't even want to get into concussions or anything like that. But I give Vince a lot of props for what he just did, man. The guy's got some serious balls. Hopefully, you know, this is the beginning of something huge for these two guys. And it makes the Hell in a Cell match a little bit more exciting when it comes for, you know, Hell in a Cell in a couple of weeks. It's going to be legit good. And yeah, that was my number one pick, gentlemen, were my top 5 things that I hated about this week and top 5 things that I actually really enjoyed about this week. I want to throw a little bit of tidbit news that I've seen coming across the internet over the past couple of days. I haven't had a chance to watch NXT yet. Today is Thursday morning. I was watching a couple other shows last night. You know, I got a life. The whole Cole, Fish, and O'Reilly thing, I'm a huge fan of that. I love the fact that Adam Cole Bebe has been signed by WWE. He's down in NXT. Supposedly, I guess the name for the group just came out, and they're going to be called the Undisputed or Undisputed Era. I kind of am so-so on the name. It's nothing too great. I would have gave them a little bit more time, but I guess right now there's currently a T-shirt for them out at www.shop.com that you can look up. I'll see if I can find a photo and throw it somewhere on here or over there. You know, and from what I heard from last night on NXT, that they actually attacked the UK champion the UK champion Pete Dunne and Wolfgang after their match on NXT. I heard that Trent Seven and Tyler Bate came out and tried to make the rescue. Pete Dunne bounced. I really hope it does lead into a fight for them as one of their programs going into TakeOver. It gives those 3 guys a chance to shine. And it also gives them 3 guys that they can actually work with. If it is Wolfgang helping out Bate and Seven, I probably would be so-so on it. But if you can get Pete Dunne in there and reunite British Strong Style, which is the name of the group that they have over in the UK and ICW and Progress, would be awesome. So you get British Strong Style versus the Undisputed. You know, you get, you know, the European people versus the Ring of Honor guys. I'm kind of hoping they do add, a local guy, well, a former local guy for me since I moved, Donovan Dijak, who's just been signed by WWE. Leo Rush also got signed. I've seen Leo Rush a couple of times. I'm not even going to get into that table spot incident, which I think is ridiculous, by the way. Um, but the British Strong Style guys versus the Undisputed guys at a takeover, it's just going to make takeover better again. WWE really needs to figure out a way to compete with these takeovers, man. These takeovers have been really good. Another little quick bit of news: Asuka has officially been signed to Raw. She's going to the Raw brand. I think it's great that she's going to be going to the Raw brand. She's going to fit in really good there. You got competitors like Alexa Bliss. You got competitors like Nia Jax. You got Emma. You got Sasha. You got Mickey James over there. Dana Brooke, whenever she comes back from mourning her boyfriend's loss, RIP, when she comes back. You got some strong looking competitors and some veterans over there that, Asuka will look really good against. And, depending on how they decide to do with some of the women from the Mae Young Classic, you can throw a couple of them on Raw and make them either jobbers or people to build up with, where she can actually have, good tune-up matches. And she is keeping the undefeated streak. She did have to turn over the title for the NXT Women's Championship, but they still recognize her as the NXT Women's Champion until a new one is crowned. Rumors are that she may not be appearing until mid-October to late October. So after No Mercy, maybe after, I think it's TLC is the next pay-per-view for the Raw brand after No Mercy, or maybe even right around the time of Survivor Series, which is good too because it gives them time to build up the packages and stuff, and people who don't really know who Asuka is, it gives them a chance to go to the network and watch some of her classic matches and stuff. To me, it definitely is a better choice. It really adds a lot more depth to the Raw women's roster. Another little tidbit from the week was I actually stayed up to watch 205 Live after the Mayhem Classic. And 205 Live was actually really good this week. They had some really great matches. TJP versus Rich Swann was amazing. But one of the things that really stood out to me, and it kind of didn't click to me until after the fact, was Drew Gulak was in the ring doing his little slideshow thing, which I think is funny. I'm a huge Drew Gulak fan. I've seen him at Beyond a couple of times, and I've seen him on a couple of Evolve shows that I've watched. He was doing his little slideshow thing, and he was like, no interruptions, and out of nowhere Breezango comes out, and they went in there and cut this hilarious little promo, and Fandango's like right in Gulak's face and just like literally brushing his face. And Tyler Breeze ends up trying to arrest him, and they're running around the ring chasing him. It was freaking hilarious. Even though the Fashion Files haven't been on SmackDown, which is something that I do miss, I think they're hilarious. I could totally see the Breezango gimmick going over to 205 Live and actually having Tyler Breeze on 205 Live. I don't know his weight. I'm not don't tell him to get on a scale, whatever. But physically, he looks like somebody who could be on the 205 Live roster. And if you go to the early years of NXT on the network, when the first couple takeovers were coming on, man, Tyler Breeze was the NXT Championship contender. Those Fatal 4-Ways with him and Kid and Zayn and Neville. Him and Neville have really good chemistry together. I could totally see him working out as a cruiserweight for 205 Live. We talked earlier about how Enzo going to 205 Live at the wrong time kind of messed it up. I could see Breeze going to 205 Live and making a huge impact. He could actually go in the ring with a lot of those guys, like him and Gulak, him and Nice, having a little feud, even though they can work some stupid angle where they said, Fandango's actually 204 and 3/4 pounds, so he makes it. Little things like that to draw attention to the show. 205 Live is a great show, man. The wrestling on there is amazing. You have some great wrestlers on there. And yeah, maybe to throw a gimmick like the Breezango gimmick on 205 Live could work. Or I know, like I was saying earlier, how one of my problems was there was no cruiserweights on Raw. Why does Raw exclusively have the cruiserweights? And plus, they filmed the show right after SmackDown. Why not have a couple of guys, especially like a Cedric Alexander, who's a really good wrestler? You could throw him on SmackDown and don't care about the weight limit and have him just wrestle. Or Tony Nese. Tony Nese looks bigger than half of the guys on SmackDown and Raw's roster. You can use those guys on both shows. I would say don't make the Cruiserweights exclusive to Raw. Put them on SmackDown too because they're literally filming the show right after. A crossover with Breezango on 205 Live could be enjoyable. Who knows? Maybe they might be there again next week. So that was pretty much my week point of view on professional wrestling. I hope you guys like the video. I'm starting off, like I said, from scratch again. I did the move, whole new scenery, a whole new way of life. I'm gonna try, handling some things. I'm gonna try to be a little bit more dedicated to the YouTube videos. I'm gonna try to bang out at least one or two a week. I might have a couple other things coming out. I might be starting a Twitch channel as soon as I can figure out how to sync everything up. Yeah, I hope you guys like the video. If you have any questions or if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, please click that button, hit a like, leave comments and questions, even trivia questions. If you have things that you want to ask me that you would like for me to answer or go back in time and research, please let me know. I want to start doing some old school reviews. I know a lot of people on YouTube do old school reviews, but they pick a lot of the major events. If there's a specific event that you guys want to see, leave it in the comments section. Um, I'm going to be working on getting a Twitter. I'm not really good at Twitter. I don't go on social media that often. I go on my Facebook page once in a while, my Facebook group, if I don't get crapped on for being too smarky. But hopefully, this is something that you guys will enjoy. I will try to keep coming out with these videos and, you know, try to interact with you guys a little bit more. Once again, my name is Monster401, and I hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon.